Hi. If you'd like to learn how to make this beautiful heirloom quality ornament on a budget with items you can find at the dollar store, stay tuned because I'm going to show you how to do that. Hi, my name is Elise. Welcome to my attic. On my channel, I bring you tips and tricks for budget crafting, trash to treasure makeovers, and thrift store hauls. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please consider subscribing to my channel and like the video below. Today, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable heirloom quality diorama ornament with items that you can buy at the Dollar Tree and Hobby Lobby. So let's get started. Let's bring the basket of goodies a little closer so you can see. And this is the terrarium from the dollar store. They are in the floral gardening area. $1. You're going to need one of those. This is also ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I bought the check, but you can buy any color that you like. And you're going to need an ornament to put in the middle, and I got this at the dollar store. The one that I made here has a vintage Santa that I already had on hand. If you have minis on hand already, then you feel free to use those. All right. Now, this item came from Hobby Lobby. Yeah, you can see up there, $2.99, but it was half off. Because they've got all of their Christmas stuff at half off right now. So I paid $1.50 for that. And these pine stems, okay, I love these. These came from Hobby Lobby also, again, $2.99, but it was half off, so I paid $1.50. So that's a bargain, and you get a lot of use out of this. All right, the other thing you're gonna need for this is a mop head. This is the kind, the dry mop. It's in Dollar Tree, in the section with all their cleaning supplies. So you buy one of those. This one, I've already cut a strip off. Normally it's a little bit wider. You can get, I think you can get 4 uses out of one of them for this ornament. Okay. Now the other thing you're gonna need is a little bit of small greenery. I bought this wreath at Hobby Lobby last year when they were doing closeout. I don't remember what I paid for it. It was inexpensive. And then I've just pulled off these pieces and I use them. If you don't have something like that already on hand, this came from the Dollar Tree and it should work just fine. You can pull out these pieces here or some of this. All right. And you're going to need, okay, that's going to fall over. Well, let me pull them out and then I'll show you what they are. And we'll get that closed up. And put to the back. Okay, so you're going to need some white paint, and this is some paint that I made up a while back. It's just a little bit of an off-white color. So have white paint on hand. You can use latex or acrylic for this. All right, and you're going to need a jar of the spackling compound from Dollar Tree. And I made another video where I explained how I really enjoy using this for chalk paint, and I went into detail of how I used it on another video. Okay, and for this we're going to mix it up a little thicker. And then you're just going to need something that's green, that's paper. You can use tissue paper. I picked these up at the Dollar Tree and these work great. They're just cupcake holders. Or if you don't want to bother with that, you can just wrinkle up regular paper and paint it green, and I will show you what I'm talking about on that step. Okay, and then the one thing that I forgot to move over here is spray paint. You are going to need, now this is something you aren't going to be able to find at Hobby Lobby or the Dollar Tree, so hopefully you already have it on hand. You are going to need some white spray paint to give it a little tooth. It's going directly on this with paint, even with the chalk paint, is you know, it's iffy. You're going to probably it's probably going to scratch off in some places and not want to stick. So we're going to go over it first with a layer of white spray paint to allow your paint to adhere better to it. Okay, and then the one other thing that we're going to do to get started is we're going to tape up this hole. This is just packing tape. You can use this if you have it. If you don't, the oh my goodness, masking tape that they have at the Dollar Tree will work just fine. It's going to get painted, so it's not going to show. And we just want to cover this hole. It's okay if it's a little bit lumpy because, again, it's going to be painted and you're going to use a textured paint, so it's not going to show. All right, so we're just going to cut off a couple of pieces. And put one on this side. And one on the inside, and that's just going to close up that hole. And you can see it's a little bit wrinkly, but that's going to get covered up. If you look at this one, you can kind of see it there, but it's covered by the texture and also by the bow. You don't really notice it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this sprayed, and I'll be right back. Okay, it's a little dark in here because this is my spray tint. When you spray this, you want to do very light coverage. So let me see if I can do this while I'm holding the phone. You're going to just spray into the inside very lightly. No, that is not going to work. Okay, I'm going to have to do this off camera. Let me just spray the outside lightly. You know, from a distance, you just get light coats, okay? You don't want it very heavy. Okay. Because we are going to put other paint on it. This isn't the only paint it's going to get. All right. So I'm going to finish that up, and I'll be right back. Okay, while that's drying, I'm going to show you how to go ahead and start making some of the things that are going to go inside the terrarium and to decorate the outside. We'll get those ready so that once it's painted and dry, we can just assemble the whole thing. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to make your own bottle brush tree. If you have some on hand and you want to use that, feel free. It makes it go a little faster, but I still want to share this with you because first of all, you can make it out of items that are purchased from $1.50 for this entire package, and it allows you to make them any shape that you want and any size that you want. So let's get started. This one I used 2 stems to make this one. And to do that, I just twisted them together like that. Very simple, just twisted them together, made a longer stem, and I used that to make the tree. For the smaller one, we're just going to use a single stem. Okay, this is where you need your long-handled paintbrush or a dowel, anything like that will work just fine. And we're just going to wrap it around the paintbrush in a cylindrical shape. All right. Just keep going. Okay. When you get to the bottom, just squeeze it together a little bit to compact it and then take it off of the paintbrush and it looks like this. Okay, so you're going to start by pulling out the end and just bringing it straight up so that you get the little tippy top of the tree. All right. And then from there, you're going to start. You're going to squeeze in this top part just a little bit and make it a little smaller. And then on the way down, you're just going to twist the other direction to open up those coils a little bit. All right. Until you get a shape that looks like you want, a Christmas tree shape. All right. Bring that out a little bit. All right, and there we have it. Cute little Christmas tree shape. Just took a minute. All right. Now, it's a little bit springy, okay? So if you want it to be be a little more solid, we're going to put a little paper in there, and that's what you need the tissue paper for. Or in my case, I used cupcake paper because that's what I had handy. All right, so let me show you how to do that. If you don't have cupcake paper, just take this and twist it into a little cone shape. All right, and you just take it and push it up in there so that it just firms that up a little bit. Okay. Then when you get the shape right, pull that back out. We're going to add a little bit of glue in there. Just be careful. Don't let it seep out and burn your fingers. I have never once used a glue gun without burning my fingers. It just seems to go with it. I know there's low temp glue guns, but I'm impatient. And then, ow. Yes, I did that. Because of course I did. Okay. Not only did I burn myself, but then I managed to drop it. Okay, there you go. Now you know what kind of crafter I am, the kind that burns their fingers and drops things all the time. All right, so there we go. Looks adorable. And we have the taller tree and the smaller one. Let's give them a little bit of decoration. We're just going to add a little flocking to it with some white paint. That's what we need our smaller brush for. And we're just going to, you want a really light touch for this. I don't even put it on the plate. I just get a little bit on my brush from the jar and kind of wipe it off on the edge. I don't want it thick at all. And you're just going to very lightly brush up and down the tree, okay? See how little paint is going on there? Very light, right? Okay. Looks better already, doesn't it? Okay, and just finish that up and then do the same thing to the other one. And then when we finish this up, and we do this part right here, you're going to do the same thing to it. You can see how it's just lightly dry brushed. The same thing with this greenery. Just makes it look like there's a little snow on it. Kind of blends the whole thing together. I did the same thing with the poinsettia. Just a little dry brushing on there. All right. So once you get those the way you like them, you're going to set those aside. And then we're going to go to the next step. That way, when our terrarium is dry, we're just ready to put all the cute stuff inside and be done. Let me get a little bit of paint on this. Now, I also added glitter to the trees in the back. I think it adds a little sparkle to it. If you want to do that, you're more than welcome to do that, but it's not completely necessary, and it's going to kind of depend on the look that you want. Since we're doing a truck in there, it's going to have a little bit more of a farmhouse look to this one. So I thought I'd leave the glitter out this time. Okay. Oh, and the other thing I forgot to mention, this one has a stem on the bottom. It's just rolled up paper. I cut an index card, rolled it up, and then glued it inside. If you're going to use this for a display somewhere where you need a stem, that works perfectly. In this case, it's going to sit and be glued directly down. It doesn't need it, so we're not going to add it to this one. I was just kind of experimenting. So I'll probably end up cutting it off before we put it into the terrarium. Okay, so let's let those dry. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the snow ready for the bottom. All right, and that's where our mop head comes in handy. Okay, so this is, as you can see, it's kind of just sewn down here in strips. It's got its loops under there. So what you're going to need to do is cut between these rows where it's stitched down. And I don't even know if these are going to be good enough scissors. I might have to get better scissors. I think I took my good sewing scissors inside, so I'm going to have to go get them. But when you're cutting, see how that separates like that? So you want to try to pull it apart so you're not cutting a lot of the strings, because that makes a big mess. So let's just cut one of these. Oh, there, it's going to work fine. All right, so we're going to cut this down and just cut off one of these strips. All right. Well, it was good enough for cutting the fabric, but the end is giving me a little trouble. Okay, so when you're done, you've got this strip, and we're going to kind of pull off the loose parts because we don't want it just getting strings everywhere. Okay. All right, so now we have our snow. And the next step is to create a base to glue that down to. You can glue it directly into the terrarium, but it's really difficult to get your glue gun down inside there and then really have the time to position it. So it's a lot easier to create a base, glue it down, and then slip the base inside it. So you're going to need just a little piece of cardstock. This is poster board. Don't get anything that's too thick or hard because you are going to have to bend it to get it into the terrarium. You can use, I don't know, something off a cereal box or any other kind of leftover food box or something like that. It'll work just fine. In fact, on this one, I used 2 index cards. I glued them together and then cut it out. So the dimension for the base is 3 7/8 inches. All right, so it took me a little bit of experimenting because there's not really a good way to just copy what's inside it. You can't just set it down and, draw a circle around it. But this part is very forgiving. So if you don't get that size exactly right, don't worry about it. It's not something that's going to show. Okay, and now we have our base. And then you're just going to, what you're going to do, you're going to start in the center and you're just going to kind of glue this down in a circle. Now this, again, we're not talking about an exact, well, actually it's not going to be in the center. It's going to be kind of to the edge. Yeah. We don't need it to be exact. This is, it's supposed to look like snow that's sort of mounded up. So you just want something to kind of give it a base so that you can put it in the terrarium. Now, one of the ends, you're going to let it flop over a couple of inches. That's where we get this. So don't glue down your final edge, but let's start here. Okay. Okay, and that leaves us with that to flop over, and we've got some nice fluffy snow to go inside the terrarium. And now you can already start to get an idea of what it's going to look like with your trees when it's inside. Okay, so let's set that aside. And the next thing we're going to do is make the bow, if I can find the... Okay, unfortunately my camera cut out on me before I was finished with the bow, but I think most of you know how to make a bow and tie it on something. That's not that complicated. The paint is now dry on the terrarium, so we're going to go to the next step and get the snow paint on it. If you already have a textured snow paint, you can go ahead and use that. But for those of you who do not and you want to make your own, I'm going to show you how to do that. So in my last video, I explained how to use this spackling compound from the Dollar Tree to make chalk paint. And if you use this in higher quantities with more spackling compound and less paint, you get a nice texture paint. In this case, you're going to use almost all spackling compound, very little paint, just enough to kind of color it. And of course, with it being a white paint and a white compound, it really doesn't take that much. So, oops, probably a little too much there. Well, all right, we're going to leave it in there because we've got this to cover. And then in my next video, we're going to make the snowmen, and we're going to need this too. I discovered this one year when I wanted to make something, I don't even remember what it was now, that had a snowy texture, and I found out that those snow paints were kind of pricey. They're not bad, but I don't like to buy something that's just for one purpose. I like it to have multiple uses. So because if you buy it one year, it dries up before the next year, and then you've just kind of wasted your money. So I looked around to figure out and found out that for a lot of people, they were just mixing it with things and coming up with something that would give them a nice texture. Okay, so I filled about half of the cup with the spackling compound and then just put in a little bit of paint. And we're just going to mix it up nice and smooth. And you can see how well it mixes. Of course, if this was a colored paint, it probably would thin out the color quite a bit, but for white it works perfectly. And now we have a nice thick, I don't know, maybe a cake batter thickness. It's a little thicker than cake batter, I think. No, that's thicker than cake batter. Melted milkshake, there we go, kind of a milkshake consistency. All right, so that's what we want. All right, and now here's where you're going to use your larger paintbrush, and we're only going to do the outside. Not necessary to do the inside. And we are just going to get a big glop and just start painting it on. Now I will kind of get a layer of it on here and then go over it. See, we're already getting a nice texture to it. Okay, there we are. When you get towards the end, you're just going to kind of go back over it and make sure that everything looks nice and covered and has a lot of texture on it. Once again, we're going to set this aside, and when it's dry, we're going to put it all together. So stay tuned. All right, the terrarium is still drying, but I've changed my mind about glitter. I decided I have to have it on the trees. And I added a little snow to the truck. I don't know if you remember it from the beginning, but it was just a plain white, red plastic, and the tree was just plain green. So I added some snow, and I decided that snow's got to be sparkly. So we're going to add a little glitter. So I dug out the glitter glue. It is, I think I got this at Hobby Lobby, and it's a sparkly glitter glue. I got this, I don't know, a couple years ago because I thought I could just, paint this on things and it'd be nice and sparkly, but that didn't really work that well. It's kind of thin, but it makes a terrific glitter glue because it already has a base that's sparkly. So anyway. Okay, so let's start by glittering up the truck a little bit. Oh, and then here's the glitter I've got. This is extra fine diamond, and can you read that? Maybe over to the light. And I think this was another Hobby Lobby find. So this has lasted a long time. Okay, so I already added, you can see where I added snow. I added it on all the horizontal surfaces, and we're just going to do the same thing and add some glitter. So with a small brush, we're just going to paint it on all the locations on the truck that have the snow. And then we're just going to add a little extra sparkle to it, because why not? I don't know if you're a fan of glitter. I like glitter. I know some people don't like it. It gets everywhere, but you know, I mean, heck, it's Christmas, right? Aren't things supposed to sparkle at Christmas time? And the door and the bottom here, the fenders, and then around the bed of the truck, and then the tree. Okay. I bet this is going to be so cute when it's done. And I've got it over my piece of poster board so that it'll catch all the extra. Oh, and it looks cute. All right. And it's kind of on the, well, that's okay, because it kind of looks like a little, you know, when it snows and just a little bit sticks to the side surfaces, that's kind of what it looks like. So that's super cute. And I really like how that adds a little sparkle to it. That's going to be nice in there. Okay, so then the next thing is the trees. And again, we're going to do the same thing we did with the trees with the brush. Just going to do a very light coating across it. Heavier in some places, lighter in other places. It's not about coating every surface. It's just going to look lightly dusted. And when I did my bottle brush trees, I did it the same way, even though it was a little bit different surface. I didn't want it to look, you know, the bottle brush trees are cute, but when you see the ones that are flocked, they look kind of fake because they put it on too thick. So I kind of wanted to just give it a really nice light texture. Okay. Same thing. Oh, look, that is better already, isn't it? Look how cute that is. All right. Nice. Yeah, that's cute. That's really going to catch the light. Okay. And one more. And I use the blow dryer on the snowball, so it's almost dry. It's in the places where the paint was really thick, it's kind of squishy. So I hate to touch it just yet because I might mess it up. So maybe I'll go over it one more time. Let me see if I can just roll it, since I've got so much in here. Yep, that's going to work. There we go. Okay, so let the glitter dry on those. No, that one's not going to stand up. Okay, let me see how this is doing. So if you look at it, like right here, see how thick that is? And it is kind of soft. So I think we need to wait for it just to dry a little bit longer till we're ready to put that together. So I will be back. Maybe, well, you won't know the difference. It'll be instantaneous for you. For me, it'll be about a half hour. All right, see you soon. Okay, it's only been about 10 minutes, but I can't wait a minute longer. I took the blow dryer to it to speed up the drying on it because I just can't wait to see how this is going to look put together. All right, so to start, we're going to glue in the snow. All right, you're going to fold it up and put it in there and just kind of position it so that it looks nice. And then this little piece right here, you're going to bring it out and it's going to kind of fold over the edge a little bit. All right, let's see. I want it there. That's cute. All right, let me cut this little extra bit off here. I don't want that to show. Okay. All right, and then we're just going to add a little glue to this. You don't need a lot. It kind of stays put, but you want it to be a little bit secure since the trees and everything else are going to be glued down to this. All right, let's fold it up a little, put it through there, and get that in place. All right. Oops. All right. I'm going to kind of, all right. Well, I lost my overflow. I might have to cut a little extra piece off to get a little bit more overflow on there. Okay, so now we've got, it's nice and snowy looking inside, and it is tucked down nice and firm. Okay, that's good enough. And then, yep, see there? I knocked off a piece on the back. So I'm going to recommend to you that you do this the right way and let it dry overnight, and don't do what I did. But maybe you'll be in a hurry like me and do the same thing. I don't know. All right, so now what we're going to do is just glue this little bit down so that it covers this lip. Okay, and bring it out just a little. There we go. Now, because this is really off to this side here, this is kind of more to the right, I'm probably going to put my greenery on this side and arrange it the opposite direction. Okay. All right, that looks great. There we are. See, hardly takes any time at all. If you're going to give these away as gifts, you can just do a little assembly line. Get them all spray painted, get them all snowed up, and while you're doing that, get all the little parts ready and just, finish them all up. Look at that. That is just the cutest thing ever. All right, so if you enjoyed that video, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel and hit the like button below. Also, remember to check the video where I talk about how to make chalk paint. It's just shows you the ratios to use to make the chalk paint out of the spackling compound. Next up is snowmen ornaments out of salt shakers. And I think you'll like that one too. So thanks very much for tuning in. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.